Have you ever looked in the mirror one morning and realized your vision just isn't what it used to be? Or maybe you've started needing brighter lights to read, find yourself squinting at your phone more often, or you wake up with dry, tired eyes. If you're over 50, these aren't just normal aging, they're early warning signs that your eyes are under nutrient stress. Here's what's really going on inside your body. As we age, the delicate tissues of the eye, especially the macula, the central part of the retina responsible for sharp color vision, become increasingly vulnerable to oxidative stress, light damage, inflammation, and nutrient depletion. These are not random processes. They're rooted in the very chemistry of aging, from slower antioxidant defenses to changes in fat metabolism and decreased ability to handle oxidative stress. And here's the surprising part. Simple whole foods, especially certain nuts, contain powerful nutrients your eyes desperately need. But unless you know what to eat and why, you could be missing out on one of the most effective natural defenses your body has. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Your eyes are like a high-performance camera. Over time, dust accumulates on the lens, the film degrades, and the light filter becomes less effective. What if I told you that specific foods act like internal cleaning and protection mechanisms, strengthening the lens, filtering harmful light, reducing inflammation, and enhancing nutrient delivery? That's exactly what certain nuts do. What the research shows is that nutrients like lutein, zeaxanthin, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, and zinc, all found abundantly in nuts, play foundational roles in protecting the retina and slowing age-related degeneration. In fact, a recent controlled study showed that adding just 2 handfuls of pistachios daily significantly increased macular pigment optical density, a biomarker strongly linked to healthy vision and reduced risk of age-related macular degeneration, the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 50. But here's the key. It's not enough to just snack mindlessly. The way you consume these nutrients, the timing, combinations, and quality determines how well your body actually absorbs and uses them. Over the next several minutes, we're going to break down the 6 most important science-backed insights about how nuts protect eyesight after 50, how they work physiologically inside your body, and exactly how you can integrate them into daily life without expensive supplements or complicated diets. We'll cover why traditional eye supplements often miss the mark, how fats actually enhance nutrient absorption, and what simple habits you can adopt starting today to support your vision for the next 20, 30, or even 40 years. If what you're hearing so far feels relevant, if you care about preserving your energy, independence, and quality of life well into your later years, then stick with me. And if this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day. Let's start with a fundamental question. Why would something as simple as a handful of nuts make a measurable difference in your vision, especially after age 50? Here's what's really going on inside your body. The central part of your retina, called the macula, is responsible for sharp, focused vision. It's the part of your eye that lets you read, recognize faces, and see fine detail. Unfortunately, as we age, this delicate structure becomes increasingly vulnerable to oxidative stress, inflammation from metabolic imbalances, light-induced damage, and declining antioxidant defenses. These forces don't just cause blurry vision, they erode the very pigment that protects your eye cells from damage. Enter macular pigment optical density, MPOD, a measurable marker of eye health. MPOD is essentially your retina's natural internal sunglasses. It's made up of carotenoid pigments, mainly lutein and zeaxanthin, that filter harmful blue light and neutralize the oxidative stress that contributes to age-related macular degeneration, AMD, the leading cause of vision loss among people over 50. Now here's the surprising research insight. A randomized, controlled human trial found that adults who added just 2 ounces of pistachios, roughly 2 handfuls per day, to their usual diet had significantly increased MPOD after just 6 weeks, and the effect continued through 12 weeks. Participants in the pistachio group nearly doubled their intake of lutein and also showed significant rises in blood lutein levels. This is important for 3 reasons. Pistachios, are one of the only nuts that contain measurable amounts of lutein. Most nuts are rich in vitamin E and healthy fats, which are great for cell membranes and reducing oxidative stress. But pistachios also provide this unique carotenoid pigment directly linked to macular health. The lutein in pistachios is packaged with healthy fats. Carotenoids like lutein are fat soluble, meaning they require dietary fat for optimal absorption. The monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats in nuts act like the delivery vehicle that helps your body actually use those nutrients where they matter most. MPOD is modifiable with diet. Unlike some age-related changes in the body that are hard to reverse, macular pigment density responds to nutritional shifts, especially when carotenoids are consumed consistently over time. Think of it this way: your macula is like the protective shaded layer in a high-end camera lens. The more pigment you have, the better enclosed and more resilient it is against bright light, oxidative wear, and metabolic stress. Eating lutein-rich foods and foods that help the body absorb lutein boosts that internal shade and filters damaging light before it harms your retina. But let's be clear, it's not just about pistachios. Other nuts, like almonds, hazelnuts, and sunflower seeds, are rich in vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect eye cell membranes from free radical damage. Vitamin E has long been associated with lower rates of cataracts and slower progression of age-related vision disorders. So how do you put this into action? Here's a simple science-based protocol you can use today. Protocol for vision protective nut intake. Daily, 1-2 handfuls, about 2 Oz 57G, of pistachios, ideally unsalted and dry roasted or raw. Mix. Add a small handful of almonds or hazelnuts for extra vitamin E and antioxidant diversity. Pair with healthy fats. Combine with leafy greens, spinach, kale, or eggs during meals, both rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, to create a nutrient synergy that enhances absorption. Timing tip: eat nuts with meals containing fat to maximize carotenoid uptake, because fat boosts absorption. If this insight feels empowering so far, and you see how simple dietary changes could protect your eyesight, consider subscribing to the channel. I post science-driven health strategies like this every day. Next, we're going to look at how other nuts, beyond pistachios, contribute to antioxidant protection and metabolic support for your eyes after 50. Let's expand your internal whiteboard and connect a broader pattern. Pistachios are powerful for vision because of lutein, but they're not the only nutritional player in the nut world supporting eye health. The eyes require a network of antioxidants, healthy fats, and mineral cofactors that work together to reduce oxidative stress, protect delicate retinal cells, and support long-term visual function. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every cell in your retina, especially the photoreceptors and the macula, is built from fatty membranes rich in polyunsaturated fats. These fats make these cells flexible and responsive to light, but they also make them especially vulnerable to oxidative stress and free radical damage, the same kind that contributes to age-related macular degeneration, AMD. The body combats oxidation with endogenous antioxidant systems, but after 50, those defenses begin to weaken. To keep them strong, you need dietary antioxidant support plus optimal fat metabolism. Lutein and zeaxanthin, the pigments we talked about in pistachios, are carotenoids that literally filter high-energy blue light before it reaches the retina, acting like internal sunglasses. The 12-week randomized human trial showed significant increases in macular pigment optical density, MPOD, with daily pistachio intake. And that matters because higher MPOD is associated with lower risk of AMD and better central vision function. But let's go beyond pistachios. Almonds and hazelnuts bring something equally important: vitamin E, one of the most powerful fat-soluble antioxidants in your diet. Vitamin E is part of the retina's frontline defense. Think of it this way: lutein filters the light. Vitamin E protects the cell membranes from the oxidative stress that light and metabolism generate. Higher dietary vitamin E intake has been linked in epidemiological studies with reduced risk of cataracts and slower age-related visual decline. In other words, lutein-rich nuts help filter damaging light and build macular pigment. Vitamin E-rich nuts help protect the physical structure of retinal cells from oxidative wear. Now let's bring in another piece of physiology. Your eyes, like your brain and heart, depend on healthy fats to function well. The monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats abundant in nuts not only provide calories, they support lipid transport and cellular membrane integrity. Nuts help your body absorb fat-soluble carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin far better than if you ate them alone with low fat. This is a principle rooted in basic digestive physiology. Fat enhances absorption of fat-soluble nutrients. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your retina is a high-performance camera. Lutein and zeaxanthin are like the high-quality protective lens filters that cut glare and prevent scratches. Vitamin E is like the shock-absorbent casing that guards the internal circuitry. Healthy fats are the lubricant that ensures all components work smoothly and nutrients are delivered where they're needed. Now let's turn this into actionable steps you can use today. Behavioral tools for vision protection with nuts. Daily nutrient mixed pistachios. Got 2 handfuls, 2 Oz, 57 gris, daily for lutein to increase MPOD. Almonds or hazelnuts, a handful, about 1 Oz, 28 gris, with lunch or dinner to boost vitamin E intake. Meal pairing strategy, combine nuts with leafy greens, spinach, kale, or eggs, both rich in lutein, zeaxanthin, to enhance absorption and build retinal pigment effectively. Add a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil or avocado to meals with nuts for additional healthy fats that support carotenoid uptake. Timing. Tip. Morning or midday is ideal for your nut intake. This supports not just eye nutrient delivery, but also steady energy and blood sugar control, which matters for metabolic health and inflammation, both of which can impact oxidative stress in the retina. If you're already finding this compelling, and you're seeing how simple changes in food selection can shore up your eye defense system, this strategy pairs perfectly with other metabolic health goals like stable insulin, fat utilization, and reduced inflammation. And if this is helpful, consider subscribing. I post evidence-based lifestyle protocols like this every day. Next, we'll dive into the metabolic and insulin connection, how systemic inflammation and metabolic stress around age 50 accelerate eye aging, and what you can do to counteract it naturally. Let's dive deeper into a part of eye aging that often goes overlooked. The health of your eyes isn't just about the nutrients you eat, it's also heavily influenced by how well your metabolism functions. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your retina, especially the macula, is one of the most metabolically demanding tissues in your body. It needs a constant supply of oxygen, glucose, and energy to keep light-sensing photoreceptors functioning optimally. When your broader metabolic health falters, in particular through insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, or chronic low-grade inflammation, the retina becomes vulnerable not just to nutrient deficiency, but to metabolic dysfunction itself. Think of it this way. Your eye cells are like tiny power plants. They rely on glucose for fuel, and insulin is the gatekeeper that helps glucose get into the cells. In insulin resistance, a hallmark of metabolic syndrome, that glucose doesn't enter the cells efficiently. The body then increases insulin production, creating a stress response systemically and locally in tissues like the retina. This isn't just about elevated blood sugar. It's about how the entire metabolic infrastructure starts to strain and fail over time. Research is showing that this metabolic stress shows up physically in the eye. One insightful human study, the Life Adult Study from Germany, found that markers of glucose intolerance and insulin resistance were associated with thinning of key retinal layers, particularly the outer nuclear layer where photoreceptors reside. Thinner layers are an early sign of metabolic damage in the retina and may predict future vision decline. This isn't surprising when you consider the retina's biology. Photoreceptors burn a lot of energy. They produce metabolic byproducts like lactate. When metabolic balance is upset, oxidative stress and inflammation rise. Over time, this contributes to structural and functional decline in the retina. Metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions including abdominal obesity, high blood pressure, dyslipidemia, and insulin resistance, is increasingly recognized as a risk factor for age-related eye diseases, including AMD, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, and dry eye-related tissue degeneration. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your eye's energy system as a high-performance engine. When fuel, glucose, is delivered efficiently and smoothly, the engine runs cleanly. But when fuel delivery is impaired, insulin resistance and inflammation builds, the engine starts to sputter, causing heat, wear, and damage. Over years, this leads to structural breakdown, not just in muscles or organs, but in delicate tissues like the retina and optic nerve. Now let's turn this insight into practical action, because understanding the root cause only becomes transformational when you can act on it. Actionable metabolic support for your eyes. 1. Prioritize stable blood sugar. Start each day with high-fiber breakfasts that include nuts, leafy greens, and protein to avoid blood sugar spikes. Avoid high glycemic breakfasts, sugary cereals, white bread, which load the system with glucose that can worsen insulin resistance. 2. Intermittent fasting, IF, and timing. Consider 12 to 16 hour nightly fasting windows. This gives your metabolic systems a break and improves insulin sensitivity over time. Gentle IF protocols have been shown to reduce systemic insulin resistance and low-grade inflammation. 3. Exercise for vascular metabolic health. Engage in 30 minutes of movement daily, brisk walking, strength training. Exercise improves insulin sensitivity and microvascular health, which enhances nutrient and oxygen delivery to the retina. 4. Mediterranean-aligned eating. A Mediterranean pattern rich in olive oil, fatty fish like sardines and salmon, nuts, and colorful vegetables supports metabolic health and reduces risk of AMD. Meta-analyses suggest this diet pattern is linked to significantly lower AMD risk. 5. Reduce processed carbs and sugars. Excessive sugars and refined carbs drive high insulin release and deepen insulin resistance. Swapping processed carbs for whole foods stabilizes glucose and lowers metabolic stress. If you're already seeing how your metabolic health and eye health are tightly linked and how simple lifestyle choices can shift that balance, then this strategy sets you up for better vision and metabolic resilience together. And if this insight feels eye-opening and valuable, consider subscribing. I post science-driven lifestyle strategies like this every day. Let's broaden the picture and complete your eye health nutrient roadmap. So far, we've focused on nuts and their amazing role, especially pistachios for lutein and other nuts for vitamin E. But that's only one piece of a larger physiology-driven network of nutrients that works synergistically to support your eyes as you age. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your retina and lens are some of the most metabolically active tissues in your body. They're constantly exposed to light, oxygen, and metabolic stress. Over time, this generates oxidative stress, unstable molecules called free radicals that damage cell membranes, proteins, and DNA. Antioxidants from foods you eat are your internal defense forces against this stress. The more robust your antioxidant network, the more resilient your eyes are to age-related decline, such as macular degeneration and cataracts. Let's unpack the key nutrient groups and how they work together. 1. Carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin, the internal sunglasses. These plant pigments accumulate in the macula, the central retina, and act like high-tech sunglasses, filtering high-energy blue light that can damage cells. Higher dietary intake is associated with lower risk of age-related macular degeneration, AMD progression. Green leafy vegetables like spinach and kale are the richest sources, but pistachios also contribute meaningfully in a fat-rich matrix that enhances absorption. Whiteboard analogy: think of lutein and zeaxanthin as the polarized filter on a camera lens. They block harmful wavelengths before they reach sensitive sensors. 2. Vitamin E, the lipid membrane defender. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects cell membranes from oxidative damage. Retinal cells are especially high in polyunsaturated fats, making them vulnerable without enough vitamin E. Nuts like almonds, hazelnuts, and sunflower seeds are excellent sources. Physiology point. Unlike water-soluble antioxidants, vitamin E embeds in lipid bilayers of cell membranes, literally shielding the walls from free radical attack. 3. Omega-3 fatty acids. Structural and anti-inflammatory agents, omega-3s, particularly DHA and EPA, are fundamental building blocks of retinal cell membranes and also reduce inflammation, which is a major driver in dry eye and AMD. While nuts aren't the richest source, walnuts do provide alpha-linolenic acid, a plant form of omega-3, and fatty fish should be part of the diet for optimal DHA or EPA levels. Analogy: omega-3s are like high-grade oil in an engine. They keep components flexible and reduce internal friction, inflammation that leads to wear. 4. Vitamin C, the aqueous antioxidant. Vitamin C is concentrated in the fluid of the eye and helps protect against oxidative stress and supports healthy blood vessels. Citrus fruits and colorful vegetables are rich sources. Mechanism: vitamin C regenerates other antioxidants like vitamin E and supports collagen synthesis, which is critical for lens and corneal health. 5. Zinc, the transport facilitator. Zinc plays a key role in transporting vitamin A from the liver to the retina, where it's used to produce melanin, a protective pigment. It's also involved in the activity of antioxidant enzymes. Foods like legumes and seeds, and as part of balanced meals, help provide this trace mineral. Whiteboard note: without zinc, vitamin A can get stuck in storage, so even if you eat nutrient-rich foods, utilization can lag. 6. Other phytonutrients, flavonoids and selenium. A variety of plant compounds, from berries to teas, add extra antioxidant capacity, and minerals like selenium support broader antioxidant enzyme systems. Practical protocol, the nutrient pattern that builds eye resilience, daily nutrient strategy. Leafy greens and color, 1 to 2 cups of spinach, kale, or Swiss chard daily for lutein, zeaxanthin. Nuts and seeds, mix 1 to 2 handfuls combined, pistachios, lutein, almonds, hazelnuts, vitamin E, walnuts, flax, chia, omega-3 with meals. Colorful vegetables and fruits, citrus, peppers, berries for vitamin C and flavonoids. High-quality protein, eggs for lutein, zeaxanthin plus zinc, fish, salmon, sardines, 2-3x week for DHA, EPA, mineral-rich foods, beans, lentils, seeds for zinc, a sprinkle of pumpkin or sunflower seeds daily. Meal pairing. Tip: always eat antioxidants with healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, nuts, to maximize absorption of fat-soluble nutrients. By nourishing your eyes with a diverse palette of nutrients, not just isolated supplements, you supply the biochemical tools needed to defend against oxidative stress and aging. This is root cause thinking. Strengthen the body's own defense networks rather than treating symptoms later. If you're finding this nutrient strategy empowering and you want more evidence-based protocols, please subscribe. I post science-driven health strategies like this every day. As we've now seen, protecting your vision after 50 isn't about luck or hoping symptoms don't appear. It's about understanding the physiology and using targeted nutrition and lifestyle tools that make measurable differences inside your body. Here's the core insight: vision decline isn't an inevitable side effect of aging. It's the result of decades of metabolic and oxidative stress interacting with nutrient demands that our modern diets often don't meet. When you supply the right nutrients in the right context, you change the biochemical environment in which your eyes function. Let's recap the physiological principles we've covered. Your retina is highly oxidative and light exposed. It needs strong internal antioxidants like lutein, zeaxanthin, vitamin E, and vitamin C to defend itself. 2. Healthy fats aren't just energy. They're structural components of retinal cells and delivery vehicles for fat-soluble nutrients. Metabolic health, especially insulin sensitivity and low inflammation, affects nutrient delivery, blood flow, and cellular metabolism in the eye. Trace nutrients like zinc and emerging phytonutrients like flavonoids and selenium round out a protective network. These mechanisms aren't abstract. They're grounded in measurable physiology and research showing nutrient patterns associated with lower risk of AMD and other age-related eye conditions. But insight only becomes power when applied. Here's your step-by-step challenge. Choose one of these changes today. Add a handful of pistachios and a handful of almonds to your breakfast or lunch. That's lutein plus vitamin E in a fat context for absorption. Build your dinner around leafy greens, colorful vegetables, and fatty fish at least 3 times this week. Make citrus or berries your dessert, and pair them with seeds or nuts to broaden antioxidant coverage. Observe how your energy, clarity of vision, and even daily performance respond over the next 2 weeks. Simple shifts like these don't just taste good, they provide biochemical ammunition for your cells. If this added value to your health journey, like the video and subscribe to, join others committed to optimizing their health naturally with science-based strategies. Together, we'll keep redefining not just what's possible, but what's normal for healthy aging. Your vision is not something you wait to lose. It's something you cultivate and protect every day.